No, don't touch my bro head. No. No. Don't touch him.
Don't leave it.
No, don't touch him.
I love you too. You doing good? Yeah? How slowly, baby?
Don't touch him.
Okay, birthday.
There you go. Who told you to get...
You can eat it.
What? You gonna eat it? Oh, look at that hair pop. Oh my
You can
gosh.
eat our coffee.
You're gonna eat my coffee, yeah?
Yeah. With this amazing ice cream.
Don't touch her!
Hey.
Good boy! You got your ice cream, okay? What the heck? Little monster. Oh! Oh! It's coming. I missed? Oh no! I thought I hit it. I didn't hit it? No?
Loser.
Oh yeah, you are a loser. Oh, loser. What's up? Oh! Shut up. Oh! Huh? Huh?
Go back up! Back up! Come here! Gotcha! You ain't going nowhere, banana man! No, come here, banana man! Good thing I knocked over a car! Banana man!
What's wrong with you?
Banana man!
Chinese background? Interesting. Why are you out here? Oh.
Hey, banana man!
Go in the room, me.
Banana man.
Hannah, get your cooking. Bye.
Come on, eat.
Why you listening? Watching Elsa, huh? Hey, why your fingers be orange? What did you do? Wash your hand on the orange fingers.
I'm a little orange. Banana bee. Who's in the bed box?
Who outside? There's only 4 little people in the house, no?
Time to eat, Penelope.
Ah, your thing is too long. Oh. No, no,
She licked it.
no.
Yeah. She ate it. She ate it again.
Stop it.
Here you go. She ate it again.
Stop it.
Can you spread it over her? Yes. Penelope, you want some more? Penelope! Let's get you a big of mayonnaise. Feed it. Good. Yeah. No, God! Ow! Help me, baby!
Get out of here.
Kill him!
Uh,
Come on, guys! I got him! Come on! Come on! Kill him with me!
What's be wrong with you, baby?
Killing him!
Mm.
Help me kill him!
You bad.
Do it!
What the heck? Look at that booty. Look at that booty fly. What the heck is butt flying up in the sky, yo? Oh, what the heck? Oh, 7 minutes. Go to class now. 7 minutes. Hả I'm in class, y'all. Oh, God, they just have to go to class now. What? Let your fuck. No, that's for me.
Wait, Jason, are you there?
Other professor, how are you?
Your pictures are scary. Where are the bumps?
It's okay.
But what's that supposed to be? But that here is it a bird or an animal? I don't know. I can't see clearly. A mouse. Does it come from a movie or something? I'm just curious.
It's just a photo from the
Oh, okay, that's cute.
How do you
So,
fall?
do you work at the
No,
daycare?
I actually work at
You fall, yeah.
auto shop.
Oh, in
And
Chicago?
now
Oh, that's very nice. So you keep busy. I'm going to ask you and Mandy to see if when I share this, you all can see it because I have two things I have to share. I want to share.
Go! I'm gonna throw it. Your mama.
Always a little two steps here. Share.
You're falling!
Share.
Oh, there's a thing.
Tell me if you can see this screen. Listen.
Is it
Can you see it?
Yeah. So we're documenting Charlotte's domain.
Yeah, the 4 domains. Good. Okay. I need to see others as they come in. Let's see one. I think only 2 of you are there so far. Today it's going to be a discussion of that, and then I will show you the exam, and then we'll post it for next instead of class next Tuesday. It could be your midterm, but I just want to go over the questions with you. I think we're up to date. We've passed even chapter 10, which is nice. And if as long as we would have gotten up to 8, then we're fine. But I do want to go over that with all of you. You've done your theorists. And your lesson plan is, when did I have a date here? Oh yeah, yours is the 23rd. So I'll give you time to go work on that. Let's just wait for everyone to join us. See if I can stop share for a minute. Okay, we have Latoya, Alondra. Yeah, I think if I stop sharing for a minute, I could see everybody.
Stay in the room, man. They just go to class. I'm in.
Latoya, how are you? Yesenia? Great. I'm great, and thank you. We should begin in 2 minutes. I don't know if it's the weather or what. We usually have everyone on time, or almost everyone. So give them a few minutes. Here we have Victoria. How are you doing with the course? Are you enjoying the class, first of all, and are you gaining information that you didn't have before? Give me some
I'm
feedback.
getting information before, especially with the I'm gonna say that blue taxonomy. That yeah.
Yes, and the QAR. Yeah. And the QAR, right? So yeah, it's important. But today I want to go through these domains with you. Otherwise, they won't make any sense. And I think, in due respect to all of you that have joined me, I have 1, 2 in Evie. I have Evie also. Good. So we will begin. I am going to first today. I'll just do 2 discussions, 2 screenshot discussions with you. So you can understand what we will be doing for your midterm next week. And I will post it instead of you having class next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, I'm going to have your midterm already posted. Okay, so open, I will say open midterm for both.
So
All
for
right,
midterm,
so-
do we log in or we just do it and then make?
You know what, just know, instead of, I could greet everyone and then send you off. I just want to take attendance, or if everyone is in today and they get the message, then just from you will have more than Tuesday to do it. I just want you to have it, you have Tuesday to work on it during our session instead of me teaching you, because we're already past our I think chapter 11 we're at. So we're ahead of the game. So Tuesday when I post it, you will have all the way till Thursday to finish, you know. So you can submit to me Rio2 midterm 1. And then so the next time I see you would be we'll see if everyone's in. Then we don't have to join on Tuesday. We go directly to, I will do this. D2L will have it as well as your email. I don't want anyone to have trouble and not being able to get into their midterm. Okay, so there are 2 ways I can work on this. We can work on this. So let's talk more about it. I see Victoria, Diana, and Sierra. Okay, please allow me to share the screen with you and know that everyone is here. I'm going to share this and let's see. Can you see this screen clearly enough? It was the 4 days. And I know you have to do it. Sure.
You got it.
Yeah, but thank you.
Oh, is that good in the room?
What is this? Students or teachers, every time I talk to you about importance of you preparing now for your becoming a teacher. Now it is also a whole lot of preparation. And as you move on, remember this course, your future classes will all be talking about EDFN. During the pandemic, EDFN was not necessarily put on hold because the student teachers were supposed to continue preparing for their presentations. But you will have clinicals to prepare for, and therefore the clinical professor, the clinical teacher, the method teacher, the course for that 328 will be talking to you about preparing your lessons for EDFN. But it has to be tied in with Charlotte Danielson's 4 domains, because once you go and you pass your EDFN and you get your diploma, you're already searching for a job in teaching. There is a high need for early childhood teachers, so I'm happy that you're concentrating on this. Once you walk into that classroom building, as much as the principal and the administrators and the mentors that they're probably, I'm not certain that the schools all do that, assigned to you, you will need to know what it is that these administrators will start doing starting November. I think that some of them start in October because you knew they have to see you 3 times in a year. And they will base their evaluation of your lesson and your class presentation and your classroom environment on these 4 domains. So I don't want this to be, because I don't know if I'll have you for another class after this. Maybe you will, because I have had the 302 students from last semesters. Now they're in my 325 literature class, which is amazing. But I want to make sure that you all are very, very well aware of this. The 4 domains of Charlotte Danielson. There's a book on her, and the administrators are trained to use this. But I always say to the students, without one domain present, your scores, your grades, your effectiveness in the classroom will be lacking something. So let us look at what domain 1 is all about. You don't have to copy it. You already have it. I sent it to you. And if not, you just can download it. The whole, all of Illinois. I think there are other states that are also implementing Charlotte Danielson. But I just want you to know that this can be downloaded. All you have to say the 4 domains of Charlotte Danielson, and you get a clear picture. What I have had my teachers do is download a copy, or I give them a copy and they have it with their lesson plans. Domain 1 talks about planning and preparation. Our planning and preparation for lessons, teachers that's your blueprint. you go from looking for the goals for that particular grade level, and you state the goal. You go into ISB and Common Core Standards. They're both there for you. And you will state the goal for that particular, let's say it's language arts or math or whatever. And under that goal, they'll give you the standards. And from the standards, they will actually tell you the skills that you're supposed to teach. And those skills will only be taught through your strategies. Whatever strategies you can come up with that are effective in order to teach those skills. And I'm walking you step by step. So after you look at the skill that is required of you or first grade, and you'll go systematically as it's designated there. So you know you have to teach the skill and develop the strategies. But in your lesson plan, you will also be asked to state your objectives. And those objectives are telling you, before you're telling your administrator, because it is you that you are going to be looking for, is that what is it that you're setting out to do, teachers? Are you what is your objective, or what are your objectives? Well, my objective for teaching the skill through these strategies, look how it's falling into place, is that students will, that's how you begin your objectives. Students will be able to do, students will understand, that's a cognition, and then they will be able to apply, whichever way you word it, it must begin with students. You can have at least 3 objectives, okay? There is where you start developing your lesson plan, and you saw your introduction. Of course, you'll state your materials that you will be using. You will state the topic of your lesson, the title of your lesson. The topic is whether it's science, language arts, or whatever, and the title of that particular lesson. If it is a story book or a literature book or a fiction book, you will state that. So that's your title. And then beneath, you mentioned the materials, and then your introduction. How will you introduce your lesson? How will you execute your lesson? And how will you check to see if your objectives have been met? And that is done through an assessment. No matter what, if this lesson that you're doing will continue tomorrow, today you must bring that lesson to closure. And what do we mean by bringing that lesson to a closure? You can say, okay, we're going to have a performance assessment for the last 5 minutes. We're going to have an art. We'll assess through art, because maybe children cannot yet write. Or we're going to have a drama or a skit on this, just to bring it to a closure, or a very brief checking for understanding. That means asking questions. One of our classmates just said that what she liked a lot about, and I hope and I'm sure it's more than just that, the Bloom's taxonomy and the questioning technique of QAR and Bloom's taxonomy. Well, when you are doing this to wrap up today's lesson, to check for understanding in your lesson, which is part of your conclusion, is you're going to state the questions that you will ask the children that will be generated from today's lesson. You see, it has to be relevant. And as you're checking these and checking for understanding, you're trying to see, did I reach my objectives? Did they obtain through my objective statement what I set out to do? And this is similar to when you start a trip to New York with your family, and your blueprint is you are mapping it out. You're saying where you're going to stay, where you're going to rest, where you're going to settle for the evening, and then continue your journey until you reach your destination, which is reaching your objective. And in the meantime, as you're traveling to New York, you're stating all these stuff, where you're going to sightsee, where you're going to rest, where you're going to eat, etc. Well, teaching a lesson is similar, but even more than that. It is, I have these objectives, and if while I'm teaching, my method, my pedagogy is not leading to the accomplishments and acquisition of those objectives, then I am way off base. I hope this is making sense to you. But let's look at domain 1. I already gave you an overview of why you do a lesson plan and the components of a lesson plan. In your lesson, you must demonstrate that you know the content knowledge. Well, you don't have much difficulty with this because you are doing early childhood. If you were teaching the middle school students and you're not too comfortable with your math, algebra, pre-algebra, science, social studies, then you have to really prepare the material and study thoroughly. So you cannot be hemming and hawing because you don't know this part of history or this part of, or this component or this chapter in science. It's a lot more content. Let me make it clear. Preparation in the middle schools. In the younger children, which is your area of expertise, or what will be your area of expertise, you are able to add and subtract and know your alphabet and your sounds, and you're putting those sounds together, right? Your challenge is how you're going to execute those skills, considering the young children that you're teaching, considering that you are developing the whole child, considering the diversity in your classroom, considering the fact that all children do not come with the same level of prior knowledge. Okay, one person. Am I clear? Anyone here who is not clear with what I'm saying and need me to repeat something? Okay, I will take your silence to mean that you are following me. Content knowledge, prerequisite relationships. That's what is it that you taught them before that will build on this new knowledge you're teaching them. Let's say you are now talking about causes of rainfall or types of clouds. I think that's still at the 2nd grade standard. And so they've learned the names of cumulus, stratus, and cumulus nimbus. Nimbus is for a higher level. So you're teaching them about clouds. But prior to that, you did an experiment where you had you heated water, or you asked them to express if they've seen what happens when mom is boiling food or water, what happens, and they call it, oh, something goes up in the spout, and that is what's that. You taught them that that's condensation and evaporation and all that. So that's the prerequisite relationship to what you're building on. Prior knowledge. And the content-related pedagogy. What is this content that you will present to them about, and how is it related to your standards and your skills? In this domain 1, when the principals or your administrators are looking at, this is all about your planning and preparation and your lesson. What's the child's level? What is the process of learning? Well, here they would look to see if you're using your 5, teaching to incite or to enable or to have them use your 5 senses. Are we referring to special needs? Do we have an accommodation statement down there in our lesson plan? Are we presenting the skill that we will teach them and the proficiency of their language? Are we going to consider if these are second language learners, and how will we accommodate for that, in addition to the other factors that we know our children come with different experiences? What are the culture and the interests of children that you will be, not in all the lessons necessarily, but this must be implemented? Setting instructional outcomes, that those are your objectives. Value, the sequence and the alignment. How will your lesson be aligned to your objectives and your skills and your standards? Is there clarity? Is it balanced out? the way you're presenting the lesson, balancing out to reach all the children in your classroom. And if they're not yet meeting the objectives, what will you declare that you have to break them up into smaller groups so that we do the zone of proximal development, like Vygotsky says, where we're going to actually deal with a small group that still needs support, and suitability for diverse learners, that is, you're not just your special needs, but your second language learners. In terms of planning and preparation, you also need to take into consideration resources you need for the classroom. How will you extend the content knowledge? It means, what are the supporting materials that you will have there? Are you going to use regalia? Are you going to use objects that are going to enhance materials, paper, pencil, crayons, clay, whatever you will need, cutouts, and the students that you're going to be addressing? Designing coherent instruction. What are the learning activities? What will your students actually learn from this lesson? And again, it repeats your materials, how will you break them up into groups in order to do the activity, and that is called guided activity versus the individual activity, meaning you put them in groups to do or generate whatever project you're doing to show, put the parts of the insect together, or where we talked about kangaroos and where we find kangaroos, and it is their native places in Australia. So we cut out kangaroos with them, and we call them marsupial animals and so forth. So you put them together to either color or create a marsupial animal, whatever. And of course, if it's a unit structure, you know that is not just going to end at this lesson. It is going to take at least a week if you're doing it on monarch butterfly or mammals and reptiles, whatever. As a matter of fact, ISB is very, very big on having units instead of just individual lessons that are not connected. So a unit, of course, if you are not familiar with it, is that topic or the theme will encompass all the subject areas. If you're talking about monarch butterfly, that's your reading about monarch butterfly with the pictures and all. The social studies will be showing them where the monarch butterflies fly from in Canada and where they stop on their way to Mexico, they go back, and then they lay their eggs and they die. So those are things that we're talking about, and that takes like a whole week. But your unit
in or out?
Butterfly, just an example. Designing student assessment. Assessments are designed to show what, not just what the students have learned, but how successful your lesson
You
was.
sure you're not
you're
eating off the fruit now?
Is determined by the objectives that you set out to say that your students will. So when you give the assessments, you're checking to see if they really did learn what you set out for them to learn. You see?
Did I really?
And then it has your.
Are you going to class or not?
So look at those
Do I have an
standards.
option?
Design a formative.
Just take
assessment.
yourself into the room,
Formative
y'all.
and summative assessments are two different assessments, teachers. The formative is for you to get feedback, to not practice. I just don't want to say that. Formative assessment is to discover if this lesson went very successfully or not. And so let's look at the weak areas and let's look at the strong areas. And then we're going to work on those weaknesses so that when I do the summative assessment, right, as the administrator come to you for a summative assessment, it's to determine that final evaluation for you. So usually you get 3 formative assessments done for you or 2 with you if you're a new teacher for the first 2 years. And after that, it's only 1. But during those 3, you will be sitting with your principal or AP who have been trained to do Charlotte Danielson's design when they come in to evaluate you. It's called the reach evaluation. And then they will first have a pre-conference, tell you, okay, what is it that you're going to teach? How do you propose to teach it? And then there will be a post-conference, which is part of the formative assessment, to sit with you within 24 hours after that observation, not more than 24 hours. So sometimes we critique principals who do an observation on Friday and then have the candidate wait till Monday to discuss their findings. Well, the effective practice is that an administrator will sit with you within 24 hours and discuss your lesson, which is your post-conference. And it's not punitive in any way. It is to discuss your strengths and your weaknesses, and not just discuss those weaknesses, but have a plan or ask you to do a plan on how you will remediate those weaknesses. And then you will be given another visit and another visit, and then the final one will be your formative assessment where, okay, now we've talked and you corrected, you self-corrected, we conferenced, and now it's time for me to give you your final grade. So this is all about. Questions? Talk to me. Any clarification on domain 1? All to do with your preparation only. Somebody, please give me a comment. Jerson?
Oh, yes, my microphone wasn't working.
Okay, let's stop there for a minute and see. Okay, give me some feedback because I know you were listening. Alondra?
I have a question, or not a question.
Yeah, Victoria.
Okay, I'm gonna go back a little ahead on the prerequisite relationship. You said that I just want a quick clarification. You said that it has to do with previous knowledge. So is that like when you were talking about how like the teacher before them had to prepare them for their next grade? So is that like their pre-knowledge and then you're just adding on to it?
No. The previous prior knowledge or prior elicit prior knowledge is this. Every lesson you must elicit prior knowledge. You use your graphic organizers and say, okay, we're going to talk about a snowy day. And the book is Isra is his first name. What's his last name? How many of you are familiar with that book? Isra Jack, I think. Okay, I'm kind of turning it around. And we know that children experience snow. We have too much snow actually. And so your previous knowledge is you're going to tap into their prior knowledge. Okay, what are the seasons or when do we have snow? Oh, in the winter. Okay, and what is it that you notice when we get a little bit of snow or a lot of snow? What is it that is expected of you? Oh, we have to bundle up. Sometimes we can't go to recess. We make snowmen. We do this and that's talking about that's their prior knowledge. If a child just came to you from a country that did not ever experience snow, you will find that that child will say, I don't know, but that child is listening to his classmates and he's building on his prior knowledge just from listening. If you're talking about a science lesson, let's say monarch butterfly, children, how many of you have seen a butterfly? What do you notice? Give me a description of the butterfly you may have seen. Do you find them in the winter, in the summer, in the spring? Have you taught them about the stages of the butterfly already? What was the first stage? What is the second stage? So you're checking to see your understanding before you start your new lesson. So you build on the prior knowledge and you go into the new lesson. Does that answer your question?
Yes, I understand it better. Thank you.
Every lesson you must start with a prior knowledge. Step into the prior knowledge. You taught them something before. That is a continuum of what you're doing today. If you already finished the other one, then you're starting a new lesson, whether it's algebra, whether it's addition, subtraction, multiplication, letters, or whatever, you will do a tapping into what they already learned. Okay, yesterday we learned A and we learned B now. The sound of B said what? and B, okay, and we found all the items and different objects that begin with B. Well, today we're going to do the same, but we will learn a new letter. So that's tapping into prior knowledge a little bit. They already know how you and what you went through with learning the A and the B. Okay, somebody else. Alondra, are you there? Thank you for your question.
Yes, Professor.
Yes, Alondra, could you expound on what we just spoke in the domain 1, please?
But I was just to what you were saying about the previous knowledge, and to my understanding is that you just making sure they understand the whole information that you introduce them before you move on to new information. So you don't want them to be confused, not knowing, and making it more heavy on their plate and not understanding the new material.
Yes, Latoya, thank you. And that's a very good summary. And then Latoya, in case a student comes and he doesn't have that prior knowledge, whether it's from the previous lesson or from life experience, then you know that they will be learning just because you are letting the others, allowing the other, or ensuring that the other children.
I think that sometimes that's why it's divided into groups, because this person might need more help.
Yes, very good. Thanks, Latoya. I like that summary. Alondra, I'm still waiting to hear from you.
So you just prepare like a setting, instructional outcomes. You design like assignments that you know students will like, and that students will participate in them. Designing students assessments and demonstrating knowledge for students. That's all about the first domain, planning and preparation.
Okay, yes, I have a question about the like, what students like. Could you expound on that, please?
Well, what are they like capable of, like their level? That's where you first start off, and then.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for clarifying that, because I had a concern about the word like. So what they already understood, what they know, and what they're bringing to the new lesson, as Latoya just said. Thank you, Alondra. Anyone else would like to comment on that first domain? Let's see.
There's no bingo, you stupid. It's not a bingo yet. It's not
Just to
bingo
clarify,
yet.
domain 1 is essentially creating like a lesson on what children already know of, or like what they're aware of, sort of like if they're aware of the rain or the weather, you kind of build a lesson plan to add more information to their knowledge of that.
It could be on any lesson. Every lesson and any lesson must have a prior knowledge tapping. We call it tapping into prior knowledge. Let's say your skill is to teach tying your shoelace, right? Prior knowledge. When you put on your shoes, 4-year-olds or kindergarten, some of them still walk around with their shoe untied. What happens when you put on your shoes and you don't have Velcro on it? Oh, we have a shoelace. We have shoelaces. Yeah. And what should you do? This is tapping into prior knowledge. Oh, my mommy or somebody, or I'm learning how to tie my shoelaces. And why do you need to tie your shoelaces? So you're also warming them up towards the tying of the shoelace. And now you're going to have your anchor chart, which is going to show how to set up the bows with the shoelaces and all that. And the process is step 1, step 2, step 3. And you can just look that up and make your own charts. And they can look at it, and now they're ready to go practice. I just did a prior knowledge. I warmed them up. I elicited prior knowledge to summarize, in addition to what Latoya just said, which is a good summary, is to give them a warm up, to get to grasp their interest, to whet their appetite as to what is now coming.
Yeah, you're listening to your teacher,
or a building upon the prior, what they've already learned to the new. So that's what it is. And yes, without your
are you listening?
Without your domain 1 preparation, that to prepare with your grade
You
your
listen
grade
like,
level
oh, you
teachers
listen
or
to
grade
what?
level
That's
colleagues.
EDM.
And that particular lesson that you will be observed upon will be a very, very detailed lesson, and it must include all the stuff that I talked to you about before I went into explaining domain. So let's look at domain 2 again. Let's see if we can do it with that. Hope it shows up with
I
that.
have a question, Professor.
Sure.
So do you prepare the class, like make a list of what you're going to teach, or does the school tell you what to teach?
That's your standards, huh? You need to know how to get you're in second grade teacher. You go into ISB, Common Core Standards for second grade, language arts. All principals should know what you're supposed to be teaching in second grade, and your grade level teachers will know that. So you go into your second grade standards. You cannot teach. Thank you. That's a very good question for clarification. You just can't pull things from out of the air to teach. Every grade has what we call the standards that every teacher must follow. That is your framework. So by now you should already know how to go into ISB and find the Common Core Standards or the ISB standards for second grade, if that's what you're being asked to plan for. If you're in kindergarten, you will look under kindergarten. Is it a language arts class that you are doing your lesson plan for? What are the standards? The one thing you have to come up with are your objectives. And how do you know what your objectives will be? You have to put 3 different types of objectives: the understanding, they be able to explain it, and they be able to do it. But those objectives are stemming from the standards and the skills that you're supposed to be teaching. The skills will be taught through strategies, and those strategies will be mentioned in your lesson plan. And if you're doing the short lesson plans, which eventually you have to do in general a weekly lesson plan, you and your colleagues develop it. But once you're in your classroom, you have to be creative with your strategies. But when the principal or AP will come observe you, you will have to develop a long lesson plan, and they will give you the format for it because it's Charlotte Danielson's format. But in there, you're going to actually be stipulating what I started with: your standards, your skills that you will teach, the objectives, the materials, the title, the subject. The subject is language arts or math or whatever, and the title is underneath. Is it a story? Is it multiplication of or addition of 2 plus 1, whatever they give you in that. So you're pulling it from where? Oh, excuse me, from the standards that the ISB has given to you. What you do at the beginning of your yearly instruction in your schools, the principals will have you all plan together, and you have all your excuse me, I must be allergic to something. All the standards already, and you have them delineated, or you refer to them each time with your colleagues. But when you sit with your principal or AP, and the reason I mentioned those 2, because they're the only 2 qualified to actually observe you with the reach evaluation, the Charlotte Danielson's method. And we go through a lot of training for this. And you have to pass the test as an administrator to know how to use this evaluation tool. It's a lot of training that we go through. However, back to your question. So the principal will have the standards for second grade or kindergarten in front of them, and he will say where are you at, what standard are you teaching, what skill are you teaching. I will be visiting you a week from now or 2 days from now. Let's discuss the lesson, the standard, what are your objectives. So that's where you are ready to talk about that's your pre-conference. When your principal come in and I want to observe you, I will have your notes that I generated during our pre-conference, and I will be looking for what you said you would be doing. You see? So you couldn't have told me that when I come to observe you, you're gonna be talking about rainfall, and then I come in and you're
No, we
talking
can't.
about mountains.
You listening to your
Okay, but
teacher?
everything will be
Ow!
grade level that you're
Oh my
teaching. That's
goodness.
why we talk about standards all of the time. Is that answer to your question?
Yes, Professor, thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, let's move on to domain 2. This is your aesthetics. These are your, and one of the questions in your midterm, we'll talk about this. The classroom environment. It creates an environment of respect and rapport. How do you speak to your children? This is what, you see, that's why I say one domain cannot exist without the other. Because as you're teaching your lesson for Miss Master now or your principal, I'm going to look around your classroom and I'm going to see how inviting, how the aesthetic part of your classroom. And I'm also going to look at how and listen to how you interact with the students. We must remember that we're not talking at students, we're talking to and with students. There's a big difference. If I was talking at you, I would just be rambling and I wouldn't be even thinking that I have you at the other end, even though I can't see you. So how did you interact with you as students? Did you just stand by your podium or did you hold on to your desk, or did you move around? Did you actually walk by the child who was a little bit distracted and just put your hand or your finger on his desk to know that you were aware that he was listening without interrupting your lesson, of course? Were you questioning them? Were you giving them chance to respond? Were you giving them sufficient feedback? So all this is a dance. When you teach a lesson, it's like an orchestra. All your instruments must be in sync with each other. You have had your lesson plan done, you're executing your lesson, you have all your materials ready for them, you're now teaching the lesson, and now you're asking questions, you're interacting, you're getting them excited, you ask the prior knowledge, you allow them to answer, you use graphic organizer as they were answering the question so they can see whether it's the whiteboard, the smartboard, or your overhead projector, or your Elmo, or whatever you're using. Okay, what are your expectations of learning and achievement? We stated it in our lesson plan, so we're showing that. And then are we giving the children the incentive to have pride in their work? If the child says, I don't know how to do it, puts his head down, and you just whisper towards the child and say, you can do it, just try. I'll come back and see where you got. And you're doing this as you were teaching your lesson. You're not just putting on a show for your administrator. You are engaging your students during this lesson. The environment is what is so important. Your instructional groups, have you planned them? Who is in your A group? Don't call them A, B, and C, because then that actually goes down to making them believe that the C is less than the A. No. What you want to do is give them names of decide with them. Let's get our groups in names. Give some names. Do we want to use animals, nature, whatever? And they usually like animals. So we will say the bear group, the tiger group, the wolf group, and so you can do that. So no one feels like, oh, when you call on the tiger group, it's because that's the less smart group. So we're very careful with how we call them bluebirds, redbirds, yellowbirds, whatever, and how you speak with them in that regard. How do you transition in this classroom? When you're done with one activity, I will stay for enough time to see how you change from one activity to the other. Do they go all crazy and scream and yell, or don't pay attention to you and they're talking and you're talking to them and they're not listening? Or are you getting their attention and are you doing it in a systematic way? What are the materials and supplies that you are showing us that you will have, and that falls under management?
What do you want? I'm not done. Go away.
And what are some non-instructional duties? So if I walk over to your bulletin board, it has the emergency procedures. It has the other one beneath it has this week who's in charge of what, who's doing the milk bucket, who's doing the erasing of the board, who's passing on the papers, and they love this. This is giving tasks to the children, and you put it up on the schedule where they can change it. The cards can be changed on a weekly basis. That shows organization in the classroom. And if you have a volunteer or a professional working with you, which are your SICAs or your teacher assistants, here, the paraprofessionals, what are you and how are you engaging them? Well, I'm listening and watching. And beyond that, of course, but I will be looking for that. This is all giving you an idea of what it is that makes you an effective teacher, a classroom that's effective for learning, conducive for learning, I should say. So if you tap into all these and you see that you're missing a few things, then work on it. That's what Charlotte Danielson expects teachers to be doing, in addition to the fact that they are going to be evaluated on this. On behavior, what did you explain to them? Okay, children, today we must be listening very carefully because at the end of this lesson, you will be expected, and these are my objectives. Sometimes some principals want to see the objectives and the skills and the standards written in one corner of the board for today. And usually I see teachers putting it in a square, in a frame. Today's objectives, learning objectives and whatever in science, math, whatever. And that's also, I expect that from my teachers, but not all administrators do. And how will you be monitoring Tuni as she is looking in her desk constantly and not paying attention? Well, I'm going to see if you walk to Tuni's desk, not stop teaching, just stop, stand by my desk and let me know that you're watching me, but you will not constantly call Tuni master, because you're disrupting the flow of the lesson and it's not fair to the other children. So this is part of classroom management. Unfortunately, classroom management became an elective at Northeastern, which should have been a required course. And so we find, well, not just Northeastern, several universities have not given it the importance, but most do, because teachers don't learn classroom management, and then you could have prepared a wonderful, effective lesson, but it didn't end up being effective because you didn't know classroom.
Oh my God, what you did?
And how do you respond to student behavior? This is a listening stuff. Safety and accessibility, organizing space. How do you have the desks in groups and separated so that you can walk around all the groups? The desks are they usually have tables for the young children. Children can move around without stumbling, and you don't have your classroom cluttered. This is important, the physical part. Let me stop there for a minute and ask you if that's clear. Do any of you need clarification on domain 2? It means I don't want to see clutter. I want to see every chart that is meaningful, that children's work are on that bulletin board or on the wall posted. I don't want to see artificial posters up just because you want to decorate your classroom. Everything you put on the wall in the classroom must be intentional and a reflection. Listen to what I'm saying. Intentional and reflecting learning. And so we call them anchor charts, or we call them checking. For example, the anchor chart has the pictures of step-by-step on how to tie your shoelace, step-by-step on how to add 10 plus 1. You know, it's used, you have the illustrations and everything. That's an anchor chart. Any questions for domain 2? Any comments? No? This is clear for all of you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could you repeat what classroom management is again?
Classroom management is how you manage your classroom. The course that you must take, if I remember the number at Northeastern was 319. It's an elective course. When I was full-time there, even while I was principal, I was considered full-time instructor there. I taught night and weekends for 20 years. I used to push, please make classroom management that required course. Loyola requires it, DePaul does, quite a few big universities do. I don't know why they converted classroom management to an elective, but who am I to question that? Anyway, so us principals really are at a disadvantage, as our teachers are, when they come from an institution where students did not take classroom management course. And you learn more and more as you are immersed in the classroom. You don't learn everything, but From the way you line up children, the way you greet them, the way you set your standards for them and their behavior, the way you all develop your classroom rules, the way you are consistent, the way you are, consistency, the way you organize, and the way you have the rapport you establish with the children. Without classroom management, it is your tone of teaching, your clarity, your consistency, all those are covered in classroom management. It used to be one of my favorite courses besides the methodologies to teach. And I did, like I said, in the 20 years I was there. Right now I am returning as an adjunct. But in the 20 years I did teach almost all the classes. I don't think that there was one in teacher ed that I didn't teach, but I loved when I could do the classroom management, because that's one of the things we see teachers are challenged when they're smart, they know the methods and stuff, but then they can't execute their lessons because they don't know how to control the classroom. And I will tell you, I'm very glad that Justin asked that question too, because when I had just become an administrator, we had a first grade classroom. I was teaching in the same school I stayed for 36 years, but I always heard, and I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with my throat, but I apologize. Room 109, and I wondered why everyone would say, those first grade children are, wait till they get to first grade. They were in kindergarten and they would drive the teacher crazy. The teacher couldn't handle this group. They're going to first grade, the same children are scheduled for together instead of the principal before me. They did not mix them. They should have broken up that group. They were triggering each other in kindergarten. So let's practice with them. Then they put 3 and 3 first grade classrooms and together. That didn't happen. So the first month I became a principal, because I went from teacher to principal at that school, and I said, why is it that the first month the teacher in there left? Why is it that while I waited for a new teacher, the second teacher was chased out by the same children? When I decided that, wait a second, I'm not going to let a first grade classroom continue this way. So I went in, I put all my work aside. I told my AP, okay, you were in charge while I am down here to fix this classroom. So I met with the parents, and I met with, I invited them, had a meeting with them, and they could not come at the same time, but I made sure I spoke to every single one of them, or met with them when if they could come in within this 1 week. And I was teaching that class, and they learned. I put them in what I would say, I straightened them out. But I did not leave them together in that room. I had 3 other first grade classrooms, so I split them. And the reason I also wanted to make sure
why are you coming out? Go back in.
Have a child in the middle of the
Get out of here.
Or 3 weeks after you move them to 110 or 111, you must inform the parents. Okay? So instead of me just writing a letter saying I'm moving your children, blah, blah, no, I invited them, had a quick meeting with them. I said, come in at 8:30, whichever one of you, and I only expect to make sure that all of you see me before the end of the week or talk to me. And I told them what my strategy was. Well, it worked.
No.
It not just worked because I called them in and told them I was keeping the class up and bringing children from the other, So I had to meet with not just that particular room of parents, but inform the other parents that I'm pulling their 3 to bring over, the 3 from the other room to bring over. It was an organizational stuff, which I don't think people would even bother with right now, but it's good to know what happens. And it worked because that week I was developing while I was with them, and I put all my work aside, everything. But I was developing routines, respect for each other, and
What are you winking, y'all?
And they knew I'm in business. But I also knew that these children needed more than that. They had spent the whole year in kindergarten doing the same old thing, and they were going to continue this school year. So classroom management is everything around from the moment you wake up, the moment they are going to sit, how you walk to the desk, how you bring them the carpet, how you line them up to go downstairs for lunch or for recess, how you bring them up, how you have them sit and listen and think of the appropriate practice, so that if they're too young, you will get them up to do an exercise or movement and bring them back to sit. Every aspect of that day has to be directed by a good classroom management teacher. You know that you can have Einstein, the most intelligent man in the universe, one of the most, and bring him in to teach. It doesn't mean that he knows how to teach, right? So you don't have to be a genius to know how to teach, as long as you plan and you know all that is expected of you. But usually very bright people they don't even know how to execute a lesson. They know it, it's all up there, be it chemistry or physics or whatever. What it takes to be a teacher is more than knowledge of the subject. How do you interest children? How do you keep them their attention? What do you do if they're losing attention? Do you blame it all on them? Do you look at yourself and see what you're doing wrong? All this is classroom management. So I hope that I clarified that. Jerson? All of you there?
Yes.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay, make sure that if you have a chance of choosing an elective, take classroom management classes. Okay? Let's look at
Professor?
Yes.
Since you've been a principal and you have many years of experience, do you think it's best to be like a nice, soft teacher or be a strict teacher? Which do you think will be more helpful?
Okay, because I can't see your names right now. Who's talking to me?
Alondra?
All right, Alondra. Okay, Alondra, because I have the screen, so all I can see is my screen. Okay.
Do not leave it?
Definitely a mixture of all. Think of what you as a parent, are you a parent, if I may please ask you that? You don't mind?
No, I'm not.
Okay, do you have siblings?
Yes.
Okay. If your mom were to have allowed you all to do whatever you want to do in your house, what would happen? There would be chaos, right? Yes?
Absolutely.
Yes. Your mom and parents, I should say, whether it's abuelita or whoever parented you, they have to set rules. But you can be an authoritarian, an authoritative. These are the three that I'm going to bring up, or the permissive parent. And you will continue to learn those, and that will be classroom management. Let's say the permissive teacher, the authoritarian, or the authoritative teacher. You want to be an authoritative, not authoritarian. Authoritarian is a mean, unbending, not understanding. It's all about how this teacher wants it to be, and if you don't do it my way, you are wrong. You don't explain things to children. You are just a mandate. What do you call this? There's a name for this. Mandar. You are very demanding. You are just exercising your authority. That's the word. You are an authoritarian. You have authoritarian bosses, authoritarian leaders, authoritarian parents, authoritarian teachers. We don't want that. You asked a very good question. We want you to be authoritative, just like a good
classroom,
just like parental skills are expected to
you're reading,
include being for parents to smooth household. Nothing goes smoothly. Nothing is seamless. Don't get me wrong. So an authoritative teacher is going to ensure that not only has she planned
and will
execute her lesson, she has provided the atmosphere, the classroom is
what evil babies do.
Learning. She has set down the rules. She has consistency implemented the rules. She knows how to talk to children and with children, not at children. She has high expectations for them. But the big word
winky
is consistency, routine, the big words, consistency, write this down if you need to, consistency, routines, and developing of trust and rapport between the teacher and the students. That sums it up for in a nutshell for an authoritative teacher. You will allow for mistakes always. You will gently guide the children, build their self-esteem, not ever criticizing them. You're role modeling, but you have high expectations. And you're going to be consistent, and you're going to make sure routines are followed. Today you don't feel good, so you let them run to the carpet. No, you've just cut you've just totally destroyed what you have already established. If this is how we're going to line up before we leave the classroom, you must be consistent. If when you arrive, you hang up your coats and sit and get ready, put your assignments on the table, start reading your book for silent reading while I do the housekeeping activities. The housekeeping is counting, checking for lunch tickets, walking around to check the homework while they're silently reading. That's an established routine. When the bell rings, you silently get up and walk to your space on the carpet. That is an authoritative teacher because she has established routine. And you actually know how to teach them to solve their problems. All this is authoritative. Authoritarian will scream, will yell, will want to constantly get consequences because he or she is the boss. You see? Now the permissive teacher doesn't have either of the two. She just let them do whatever they want. And they run the classroom, they destroy it, they chase out you and everybody else, and they take over the classroom.
Oh no.
A permissive parent doesn't teach
you and your master baby
how to behave so that when they go out to school or in public or with visitors or with everything, they embarrass.
No, you and your friends aren't monsters.
Those parents who allow them to do everything they want. Oh, that's just a child. If he just decided to have a tantrum, you know, or if he just dropped all his papers from his candy on the floor, that's okay. They can be picked up by me later on. What time do you want to go to bed, Sammy? I'm not ready yet. Sammy, it is 8 o'clock, Sammy. Now stop bothering me. It's a permissive parent. Who wants to be in a household like that? And then it carries through to a teacher who doesn't know how to set the standards and the rules and to set
you're there?
Limits. So we have those, and you study those in psychology as well as management. That was a very good question. Anyone else would like to ask another question? Everybody's good? Okay. I want to go through, you know what, let's do this. Another time we can do through, or you can read through domain 4 and 5. Don't overlook these, okay? That one that actually will ask you how the relationship you have with parents and how you reach out to them and all that. So you will read the domain 3 and 4 because it's self-explanatory, and you can see that if one is done, but the classroom management is not there, or this down here is not in existence, your lesson plan that you so beautifully planned for is not going to be executed because this is not there. And
you got a feet? I thought you don't have nothing.
You have pancakes. But study this and this so I can explain to you later.
Little pancakes.
Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Sure, Latoya.
I'm confused because I have 2 dates that are written down for the lesson plan. I have March 4th and March 11th. So I want to be correct on which date.
Okay, honey, yes. Let me look because I have 2 groups with this course and that is happening to me. I have March 4th for 3021 and March 23rd. Okay, your lesson plan is, March 4th. Correct? Is that what you have?
Yes, I have 2 dates.
This is it. Yeah, and which other date confuses me?
Because I had 2, so I was just trying to make sure which date was it, so I wouldn't be late to meet again.
No, you're not going to be late. Lesson plans for 302-1 because I have a -2 also. And it's interesting because I teach you 2 days a week and I teach them 1 day a week when we go the full 3 hours. And every time I say, okay, I'll see you on Thursday. I said, Miss Master, you only see us on Tuesday, because I always, you know, teaching the 2 sections is easy.
Which one? Date?
Pardon, Natalia?
Which date is one with the 4th grade?
The 4th, the 4th. Okay. Here. Thank you for asking that and clarifying. Any other questions? Okay, I want to make sure I go through this very quickly with you now that we've done that. I have developed the midterm, and I want to show you what it is. Let's see if I can. I need to close those doors. Can you see this, or do I have to go back and share again? Can you see my screen?
No, no.
Okay, let me stop sharing and then go back in now. Thank you. Share screen. Share screen. Share screen. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So these are the exam questions, and I want to go through them with you, and you can ask for clarification. I put the chapters behind it, but even if you didn't get your book, the notes I gave you should be, and you can always look them up also. This is talking about diverse families. It is also telling you about the challenges families face and what you can do as an early professional teacher to support them. You know this. If not, you look it up. Most of you, if you have your book, chapter 2 covers it. How can you create and modify classrooms to accommodate diverse learners? You can go online and find way teachers, I should make it find way teachers in inclusive classrooms accommodate their diverse learners. These are the children with special needs. Remember I said, make sure they're sitting with other classmates. And I think Latoya or somebody said today, you put them with other children if they don't have the prior knowledge. Remember, you put them with those in groups who know and have had that prior knowledge. This is similar, but this is talking about your special needs or second language learners. Discuss your findings. All you have to do is classrooms to accommodate diverse learners, and it'll be a whole lot. But chapter 2 also will give it to you. And I'm mentioning that you look it up because I think some of you couldn't get the book or didn't buy it or whatever. And I'm not going to hold you. Develop a list of ways you will support students with disabilities. That is very easy to find. Assessment is the daily part of a teacher's toolbox of instruction.
Don't go near him. He got to eat you. Suck your blood.
How you would use it to
Suck
gather
your blood. Suck your blood.
Reading and math. That is your chapter 3. Very easy again. And remember we said there are different types of assessment. Performance, checklist, running record, skits. Skits is part of the performance. They can draw it if they can't write, but you explain each one of them. So it's not a one-word response, okay? What methods would you use for this to be able to find out? And every conclusion in a lesson, you must have a form of assessment. A form of assessment because when you assess a lesson, you're finding out with substantial information whether the children are learning what you're teaching or whether your teaching was effective. So this is not hard either. Here, this one is again, choosing 2 of your theorists and compare and contrast their theory as they impact. I have to fix this. I will go in and fix this. As they impact the impact and how they impacted early childhood education. I was typing the mistake on this, so I will fix this for you all. Or you know what I'm talking about, and as they impact, the impact they have had on early childhood education. Before I send it out to you into your email and your V2L, I'm going to fix those 2 errors. I'm sorry, it's a typo. Here you have all of them listed. I didn't send you to look for them again. I listed them, you choose 2. So that makes it easier for you. Maslow and self-actualization theory, which is in chapter 5. Develop the theory of human motivation called self-actualization. What are the essential needs that Maslow identified? give a brief explanation of each of these needs, and I think I covered that in chapter 5. And if not, look it up. One of Rahil's approach Rahil approach has for all early childhood professionals is how to make all classrooms more aesthetically pleasing, the attractive classroom. We just went through one of those in Charlotte Nielsen's domain. If you want to use the domain there and pull some stuff out, very good. If not, list 5 things that you and other teachers could do to make your classroom attractive. That's very easy. And then I'm giving you a site to go to. It says go to NEA.org and check out Classroom Beautiful by Jennifer Larson and Classroom Beautiful by Jason Havler, and share your 5 suggestions. So that link came directly from your chapter book, from your chapter 6. Early learning and developmental standards consists of the following. Expound upon each of the following, and we talked about this on Tuesday. So you just talk about how you would take the whole child and what you would do for this, for this, for this, for this, for this. Okay, so how many questions are you supposed to do from here? I'm going to ask you to do 5 out of the 7, so you can choose whichever 5. And I'll fix that for you. I just wanted to make sure I have this to talk to you about it today. I will post it by Tuesday morning for you before your 12 o'clock. And you really do not have to sign in with me. Go directly to this on Tuesday and have it done by Thursday. That should give you Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Is that fair enough? You only have to do 5 out of the 7. Everyone understands?
That's very generous of you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, ma'am. You have 3 days. You see, I'm not testing you to see how much you don't know. I want you to keep the responses as your toolkit as teachers. Everything we do in this class is to have you keep these resources. Teachers, you're going to need this when you do your area exam test. You will know your theorists. You will have these ideas. They will ask you something about assessment. They will ask you about diverse learners. Those questions are going to come in your area exam. Please take me seriously. That is my purpose, not to just throw questions to cover a midterm. Okay, when you're done with these questions and we talk about them as we review them, jot down notes, put them in your 302-1 class to prepare yourself for when you're going to study for your area exam. And you will remember Miss Master. And not just because I want you to remember me, but it is my responsibility to teach you, not just for this course, to prepare you to be effective teachers, but first you must pass the area exam. Okay, students, if you don't have any concerns, I have to fix a couple of these stuff.
You said we only doing 5 of the questions?
I will put it at the top of your, the instructions will be there. I totally have lost you guys. Hold on. I have to get out of the screen. Stop sharing. I apologize. Yeah, I will, last night I was rushing to get it done for you all to see it today. And I won't post it till even Monday night. I'm making a note to post it for you for Tuesday or Tuesday morning. That's the 23rd, right? I will put post midterm. And that's gonna help me remember to open it up for you. I could open it up even before 12 o'clock next Tuesday, because you have Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to do it. Okay? The diverse learners, the theorists, the classroom aesthetic environment, all those, and some psychology questions will be in your area exam that deal with how you would handle the situation with a child. That's why I'm giving you the DAP a lot, developmentally appropriate practice. What are standards? Why do you teach to standards? One of our students asked us today. All that stuff, teachers, please start your little toolkit and label it for every course you take. All your professors, I'm sure, will be giving you valuable information, okay? All right, I will let you go if you don't have any other questions. Thank you for sharing your morning or your afternoon with me.
Okay, Professor, have a great day.
And you too. You too.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, students. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Can you leave now?
What? Can you go to class now? You got 5 minutes.
So what?
You so rude. You're a moody pooty.